Hello and welcome to 15 Minutes for 15-Minute Gamer. My name is Tony and welcome to this episode. This is episode 9 and today I'm joined by, I can't even speak today, by a very special guest, Ollie from IndieLaunchPad.
Hello everyone.
Right, Ollie is giving my special guest today. He is mainly going to talk, so I don't have to because you're probably sick of hearing my voice anyway. So just to give you a little bit of insight to him, I'll put a link in the description to his website. It's indiegame.launchpad.io. And he's just going to talk about that for roughly 15 minutes anyway. So, Ollie, it's definitely over to you on this one. And yeah, just do lots of selling and bring people to the website. And I got speaking to Ollie about 2 months ago? 2 or 3 months ago?
Yeah, we got introduced through Filthy Gaming, didn't we?
Yeah, Filthy Gaming there sort of said, oh, this guy's from, I think he said northeast of England. And I was like, there we go, perfect. So I was like, right, I'll drop him a message and sort of see how it goes. And we got talking about that and talking about the website and the possibility of doing videos for it, which hasn't quite came off yet, just to do time constraints, really. But no, Ollie seems very nice, so that's why I've brought him in on this podcast to talk, sell his website, and talk a bit about gaming anyway. So, Ollie, take it away.
Cheers, Tony. Okay, yeah, so Indie Game Launchpad, the site I started last June, I think, June 16. Started primarily because I'm a frustrated game dev myself and decided it was time to start learning some Unity and getting cracking on that, which I did, really enjoyed it, loved it, and suddenly realised that I have absolutely no time to learn how to be a game dev. So
that was the downside of becoming the game dev, isn't it?
Work constraints, and then had a baby. Then so it all kind of. I thought, well, how can I stay part of the community and everything that I just always wanted to be a part of? So I'm a developer kind of by day. So I thought, well, I can fit in time to build a website, seeing that's what I do. So I put the site up, started to do a bit of promotion through Twitter, just saying indie devs, add your game, and I'll basically promote it for free, because that's all I'm doing. I'm trying to create it started off as just a platform to promote indie developers and their games. But as kind of the more I did it, the more people I spoke to, the more I realised it would be nice to have a community attached to the site. So what I did was started to shout out to YouTubers to see whether they wanted to take a look at my site, find a game that they like the look of, and do a let's play or review or anything they wanted, really, in their own style. Because I thought that could work quite well, kind of exposure for the devs, but also, introduction to other people, try and spread the word from different YouTubers' perspectives.
So, yeah, that's where I came in. Well, that's where I've sort of came about to meet you. But I think it's that was a good idea. That bit there is what sold me about it. I was just like, that's a really good idea, that you get developers want to put the games on there for people to see, but then you get in a regular bunch of people who will be fair, honest, and stuff like that about the games to then put the videos up.
Exactly. Yeah, I wanted to work with other people who were enthusiastic about indie games, and because like I say, a community of kind of supportive people. Because the biggest issue that a lot of developers have is getting exposure for their work. So I thought this could be quite a nice platform for doing it. I know there's other sites out there that do it as well, which is all good, and certainly happy to kind of collaborate with anybody. It's always, everything I do is kind of for the good of the developer, as it were. So certainly not in competition with anybody. So yeah, the YouTube channel started and having guest presenters on there. And then I had a look around. I wanted to try and get a podcast going. I'm very time limited. That's my problem. But I love any spare time I get. I consume content about gaming, whether it be videos or podcasts, etc. So had a chat with a few people, and eventually I kind of found a guy who had a podcast specifically all about indie gaming. IndieView Pod is called. So started to work with him to kind of add some additional content that way. And then only about 2 months ago, I think I started a news and articles section as well, which I've done a couple of articles on there, Jupiter Hadley, who I work with a lot on the YouTube side of things. She's a good writer as well. Most people, I imagine, who know the indie scene will have heard of Jupiter. She's quite well known out there. She's very, very, very good and well known in the indie community. So she does a lot with me on the site. And yeah, hopefully having a couple more writers starting soon. Yeah, so constantly just trying to think of different ways to kind of add people to help support the site, support the developers, and new features that the developers themselves will find useful.
Yeah, and that's what. So if you're interested, drop me a message.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
You'll be
yeah,
interested in that. So if you are looking to write, I mean, obviously it is indie games, so bear that in mind. I know when sometimes with me, I'm kind of more of an indie gamer rather than triple A's. I will pick up triple A games, but that's why I own a PC for indie games, and I own so many indie games it's not even funny. Which is why, when I did approach Ollie, I did say, look, I do kind of try and review them fairly because I play so many of them, and you can instantly see some of these games, and you can obviously never name any on your website you see, but when you see some of these games, you just instantly know if they're going to fail anyway. And it's having that awareness of how, like just being constructive in what you say. So if you are reviewing them, and I try and do that, and I will eventually get a video up on your website. Eventually I'll get there.
it'd be great to have you on there. Yeah, indie developers just need the help, the support. A lot of them, well, all of them do it for the love of it, and if they can get a hit out of it, then amazing. But I just love seeing the work that comes out of even if a one-man dev who's not an artist but loves to, the game doesn't look so great graphically, but you pick it up and play it, and there's some mechanic that they've kind of put in there that you think, wow, that's really inventive, that's really cool. It's difficult these days with a AAA title, I find, to find something that isn't either part of an ongoing series or recycled content. And not saying there's no good AAA games, of course not. There's some fantastic stuff out there, but unlike you, I do get drawn much more into the indie scene.
I said it does have that unique mechanic, and I was playing a game this week called Mr. Shifty, which is done by Tiny Build, who do things like Party Hard and stuff. So an indie developer there. And that game just has a very simple mechanic of being able to teleport.
Yeah.
And you have a certain amount of teleport, and you can only teleport a little bit, kind of like an X-Man sort of thing, teleport quickly. And that I've never seen that mechanic ever in the game.
Yeah.
So as soon as I picked it up, I was just like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And enjoyed it because it was something different that I'd never used in a game before.
Exactly that kind of thing I just love the creativity of it. It's fantastic. There's always something new to find.
There is, and that's what Indie Game Launchpad does. And there's always, I mean, I'm just looking through the new section now, and it's at least once a day, isn't it? Once, twice a day, there's some sort of new game going on there.
It does
which
be
someone's
like
showing
that.
up.
Yeah, I try and stagger the releases on there just so that people can get featured on the front page for at least half the day. I do I'm getting more and more kind of games submitted these days, which is great. It's fantastic. But I'd always try and give someone like their moment in the sun, so to speak, on the front page. So there's a featured section at the top which has like the latest 5 games, and then they all start to roll down the page as they kind of new ones get added on. But I've added, I had a VR section added because I'm getting more and more VR games added these days, or being spoken to about. Any YouTubers that fancy doing some VR stuff would be great for me. If it's having the equipment these days, it's so expensive, isn't it?
Oh, good God! I really want an HTC Vive.
Yeah.
And the problem is the room. You need 2 meters by 1.5, I think it is, which might not seem a lot, but it is quite a big space.
It is, and it's. I know someone that's got one, who unfortunately doesn't want to make videos, so I've tried to convince him. But I've played on his several times, and it's an amazing experience. The Vive, the way that it captures, you can crouch down and crouch, and it just adds such a level to it. It's brilliant, it really is.
Did you try? I tried the Star Wars game on it.
No,
That was brilliant.
I got it when he very first got it, so it was a little while ago now. We played the kind of Valve stuff that came out, and there was a painting.
Oh yes, the painting one. Yeah, that looked quite cool. I saw a video of that, which I don't know if you know who Nerdcubed is. He's a YouTuber. He done one with Ashens where he done a charades on there.
Okay.
So they drew something in there and had a minute to draw something, then swap the headset and had to guess what it was.
That's cool. Good
And I really like that idea that they turned it into a game.
a party game.
Yeah, a party game, which you wouldn't have thought from that. I do, yes, I would love an HTC Vive, but £750 for a new one. They are dropping about £500 second hand now, which isn't too bad.
It's not just the Vive though, is it? You need a beast of a graphics card to kind of get the most out of it.
Mine would just about run it, and mine's a 970 GTX.
Okay.
So mine would just run it, but I don't think I'd be able to run any of the good. Like I'd probably be able to run the indie stuff, like the smaller games.
Yeah.
Bigger games, I think I would just like Batman or something. My computer would just blow up.
I went to EGX Res show in London.
Yes, we were just about to cover that. Actually, that was my next question.
Okay, I was playing on a VR game there, quite amusingly titled Dick Wild, which is very cartoon style. With you kind of sat on a deck, I guess in the kind of swamp kind of arena, and it's you've got a constant onslaught of crocodiles and piranhas and things, and you have to shoot them all down. That was really good fun actually with the headset on. I must admit, I'd be picking that one up if I had the headset, but no, not enough time, not enough money to spend on that at the moment.
Yeah, even it's the space and the time, and I play so many games anyway. It's like I would never have a second. So yeah, EGX. I went to EGX about 3 years. Did you get the Lurgy? Is the first question.
No,
No, wow, well done. That's great.
I didn't kiss any strangers when I was there, so I don't know.
I picked up a Mega Drive controller and it was damp.
Oh God.
And I was ill for about a week. I don't think it was off that controller. Well, it might have been. But yeah, I was ill for about a week afterwards. I was so ill. I was like, oh my God, there's germs everywhere. But yeah, I went to the EGX, as in the bigger game show. But I spent most of my time in the indie bit with the Team 17 developers.
Okay, wow.
And can you remember a game called The Escapists?
Yes, yeah.
Him. I chatted to him a little bit on Twitter and met him and the guys who made another game as well. I can't think what the other game was called actually. And just sat chatting to them for about 4 or 5 hours, just about games and development and how they got into it and stuff. And actually had an interview with one of them afterwards as well. He sent some questions over.
Yeah, it's fantastic to actually meet the devs and talk to them about the work. And it's EGX Res is like an offshoot of EGX. So EGX has moved to Birmingham now.
Yes, it has, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll probably go there this year as well, hopefully. So Res is just a smaller show, and in London it's primarily focused on indie work. So it was like my heaven there. It was brilliant. I met some really good people. Had a really long saying about the Team 17 and the people from that. I had a really long chat with these guys. One of them was used to work on the original Wipeout on the PSX. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, great game.
Yeah.
They've got a new one coming out, haven't they?
That's it, Formula Fusion. So I was playing that, but talking to them about that, and that looks good. I'm really looking forward to picking that up.
Yeah, the indie developers are a strange breed, but a lot of them are very dedicated. But I don't know if this is something you've come across, but they're getting such a bad name from asset flippers. I don't know if it's something you're aware of or any of the YouTubers you watch talk about it.
It's been highlighted to me before, I must admit.
Oh, really? Wow. You need to go and check Sid Alpha and Jim Still, another two you need to check on this subject matter. And Big Fry as well. They're just massive. But what a lot of developers are doing is they're buying assets from the Unity store.
Yeah.
And just reselling them on Steam. There are hundreds of them. Absolutely hundreds of Steam Marketplace. And this is where indie gaming is taking a hit in my eyes because it's struggling who to trust. because have they done the assets themselves? Have they just stolen them and resold them? Have they doing it deliberately? And what they've found is a lot of these asset flipper indie developers, or you can't even call them developers because they're not developing anything, they're just repackaging the game, is on Steam you can buy things called Steam trading cards.
Yeah.
And if you complete a game and play it, you get cards for like if you complete the first level, you'll get a card. These have real monetary value attached to them. So what they found out last week they're doing is deliberately putting these awful games on Steam for like a couple of quid, 10, 15 quid or whatever, and selling them in massive big batches to on Russian websites for people to buy the cards, who then sell the cards for cheap, convert them to gems, then buy more expensive cards and sell them.
Oh,
So it's actually a whole massive at the moment. I think it's going to come out it's going to be big news soon, but there's a lot of this asset flipping going on where it's really destroying indie developers on Steam, which is why websites like yours and I don't want to mention any of your competition, but
that's fine. I don't mind.
itch.io and stuff.
Yeah.
It's good that they survive because Steam is just covered in all these fake games.
Well, Steam's dropping green light soon, isn't it? Have you heard of this?
Yes, to Steam Direct as well. And it's because of that is why they're doing it.
There's a big hoo-ha about that at the moment, isn't there? Because there's a talk of the for Steam Direct, the developers need to pay an upfront fee of, I think it's about £5,000.
Oh, they've dropped it to 100. It's not going to be over 100.
Yeah, I was going to say, I couldn't see that lasting for long because it was just completely outpricing the smaller. A lot of the people I speak to are 1 or 2 man teams.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I can't. I don't think I'm pretty sure I've never spoken to anybody that are into that kind of thing. It's all a lot of very dedicated and very kind of I don't know, just people that just love games and want to make their own and give something back, get their work out there and get better, really.
And that's what it's all about. But yes, you have to check out them YouTubers. I'll give you a list afterwards and just look at assets flipping. Okay. It's unbelievable what goes on.
To keep my eye out for if anyone's putting stuff like that towards the site. Everything that gets submitted, I have a look through before I put it live. I can't see, like I say, I've only got positive things to say about the devs and that I've encountered. They've all been great. So.
Yeah, that is an absolute good thing. I mean, some of these shady devs are suing, like copyrighting people's videos so they can't show them if they're negative, deleting comments that are negative, and it's just crazy. But people are fooled into buying the games, and these people who are asset flipping, they're making millions off it because they don't have to do anything. It's on there, and they are it's just a crazy. You'll be amazed when I show you the videos.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
You'll be absolutely amazed. But we love indie gaming. That's why we're both here. So yeah, it's indie gaming on that type of thing. So you said earlier that you got in wanting to develop games. Did you manage to develop any?
I started to make a game for my 2-year-old,
right.
which was based on a farm and was basically around like where's the cow. When you touched on it was an iOS based game. When you touched on the cow, it was what noise did it make and how many of them are there and things like that. So I thought you try and make what's relevant to you at the moment. And I have a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old at the moment, so children are very relevant to me. And the gaming that I do is either a brief amount when they're not on the scene, or I try and do a little bit here and there. I picked up a Wii U a couple of months ago, just because Nintendo are so family friendly and accessible and things like that, isn't it? It's you're not going to get anyone getting their heads blown off in Mario, etc. So it's a nice thing to sit and play when they are around, and try and get them into it early.
Well, Mario is going open world soon, so maybe you'll have Mario getting blown up and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, it's a very, very family-orientated system, and I don't have any kids personally, but I did used to date someone who had 2 kids, and I was always very worried about what I was playing on the computer when they were around.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I play a lot of violent game, not intentionally, but I love my first person shooters and open world type games, and they are very
yeah,
adult-y, I suppose is a good word for it.
yeah. I have a whole new kind of outlook on it now. I remember I'm a big retro gamer as well. I love my emulators and things like that, and yeah, I can just remember my mum being, "Oh no, I don't want you playing Mortal Kombat." When we were younger, all you want to do is go and play Mortal Kombat at that time. It's like the amount of money we spent down the arcade, my brother, playing Mortal Kombat because we weren't allowed to at home. And it's the exposure to that kind of thing is like, oh, I've got all this to come now. The
Yeah.
time being, let's keep it at Mario. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's safe. Mortal Kombat was. I always remember. God, this is a good shout. Old I am playing Mortal Kombat in the arcade at Laser Quest.
Oh.
That's how long ago that is, and I just remember this arcade machine and being thinking. So you were playing like Mortal Kombat on this screen, like being like awful at it, dying constantly, and then just running around shooting lasers at each other, and it was just such a kid thing to do, but it was just amazing.
It was the best, wasn't it? Life was so much easier then.
It was, yeah. It was in Wall's End or Walker, or it was somewhere like that anyway, and it was just. But I'm colorblind with red and stuff, so it was actually very hard for me to do that because I never know which team I was shooting at. Just like
So everything's got the family friendly patch on it for you when you're playing them.
Yes, it has, and
Yeah, was it on the SNES, wasn't it? You had to put in a code to kind of get the red blood, I think.
yeah, you did, and things like Carmageddon, like actually just got rid of red blood and just put like, ooh, when we put zombies in, that's safe.
Zombies, yeah.
Yeah, that'll work. And like a lot of games now, some games don't even allow you to run, like run people over and stuff. They'll jump out the way automatically. It doesn't matter how hard you try and get them. But yeah, I think you got to be quite careful with kids in game. And I think, I've seen like people say their 5-6-year-olds are playing Call of Duty and stuff.
Yeah.
And you just think, no, no.
There's a time for that, isn't there? There's a time for that, and it's not when you're 5.
It's not. It's not when you're 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, when you maybe getting up, when you can understand it and understand that violence is bad and guns are not that good. Yeah, like there's no harm in it. Now I've gamed for such a long time that I'm a strong advocate in gaming. But no, I think there should be definitely kind of limits on where it is. Anyway, that got way too serious, didn't it?
It did, didn't it? I was suddenly thinking that. Where did we go there? But yeah,
way too serious away from indie gaming. But yeah, no, I think indie games. Well, I personally, I love indie games. If it wasn't because of indie games, you probably wouldn't have a lot of AAA games. To be fair, well, in fact, the whole game and community started as an indie game, didn't it? I mean,
yeah,
when you think of it, so.
And there's, like I say, I just find the creativity and some of the art styles that people come out with. I mean, it just blows my mind. Kickstarter is kind of really helping out the devs who are forming, some bigger teams these days. And when you actually browse through some of the Kickstarters out there, it just blows my mind. Like it's like I say, I'd much rather sit and spend my time on a game like that than a AAA generally.
Yeah, I would definitely. My PlayStation 4 is basically for that. My PlayStation 4 just plays AAA games. But, when people say they've got nothing to play, like, because, there's no Call of Duty out for another year, and I'm like, there's a new indie game on Steam literally every day. Like, maybe not all good, but, at least once every couple of weeks there's a really cool indie game comes out.
There's a feature that I've started on my website called the Indie Noob.
Right.
And he's actually my sister's boyfriend. He's a gamer, and he was always interested in asking about what I'm doing on the site, etc. And I said, "Oh, if you want to do some writing for it," and he's like, "Okay, well, I don't really know what to do." I said, "Well, how about we kind of create this persona for you, the indie noob, and it can be your kind of foray into indie gaming." And he's loving it. He's totally opened his eyes up to all these new games and all these different things. And he just is at the moment he's in the middle of his dissertation as he's finishing his uni course, so he hasn't been able to do much at the moment. But all the time he's saying to me, "I can't wait to get back in and play new stuff." And I think, yeah, this is. you don't always know it's there, and especially because I know PC gaming. PC is my favourite platform to game on anyway.
Yeah.
But the consoles these days are, they're so much more powerful than they were. The graphics are so much better. There's so much more on them that PC gaming seems to have, it hasn't slowed, but it's a different type of. It's just not as accessible. I don't find when it comes to the ease of use and things like that. So I don't speak to as the younger people that I have spoken to, then no one's really on the PC. It's quite interesting.
No, they all just go for the consoles because it's plug and play, isn't it? Whereas PC has it's a high margin against like VR, isn't it? It's that high level to get into it.
Yeah, I think it is that. I mean, I was always very passionate system builder, very passionate like custom PC and overclocker and all that kind of stuff. So it's. I mean, I think my first ever computer was an Amiga 500.
Yeah, I would say that's about mine as well.
Yeah, and when you start off there, it's not a console, but it's not a full computer either. You're somewhere in between, and you get a love for both aspects of it. And I've always been a console gamer. I've always had consoles at the same time, but I've always had a PC as well. But PC, I mean, I just love speccing it up, and I used to work in a computer shop building and fixing custom rigs, so I'd be able to upgrade my PC for the weekend with the new stock that was on the shelf. So I'd have this awesome gaming rig for the weekend, and I'd have to come back back on the shelf afterwards.
You just got a feeling of what it was like.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. But it was lucky, but it was always good fun to do that. But yeah, I hope that PC gaming never die. I'm sure it won't. But it just offers so much, and there's so much choice out there, and there's so much. I mean, like you say, Steam. There's some bad stuff on the Steam in that respect, like you said. But at the same time, there's also this huge library of this awesome work that you could never see on a PS4. I am impressed with how much that the consoles are starting to embrace indie work. I mean, the Switch hasn't come out, and that's got some quite impressive range of. It had more indie titles at launch than it did AAA.
Yeah, well, that Mr. Shifty's actually coming out on the Switch as well.
I'm
you're really getting into it.
Yeah, I think as you get older and less time and other responsibilities, etc., like grabbing any kind of gaming time you can get in a commute is often a good way. So I'm going to probably pick up a Switch to kind of keep up with the indie stuff that comes out that side of things as well.
Yeah, that's probably one of the only reasons I'd pick it up as well, just because it would be really cool to just have Mr. Shifty on my iPad or, Switch screen.
Yeah.
On the small screen, just play it. And I was talking to you about Aerial Destruction just before we got on. That was a developer. That game, I've always said when I speak to the developer that it would make such a great iOS game. It's perfect for it, but he's on Steam where you've got to review it a little bit different because you put it on a major platform. And when I look through the phone store for a new game to play, I find it really hard just to find something I want to play on the phones. And the lack of games always amazes me because I would play so many games on the phones if I could.
Yeah, it's a very kind of full market, isn't there? There's so much choice that it's almost difficult to choose, isn't it? It's, and another thing I did on the site is I've categorized. So you can go onto the game section and go to a platform, and you can choose Android, iOS, PC, etc. So it's I tried to kind of do that so that people can, no matter what they're using as their primary gaming platform, they can find a new game to play.
Yeah, that's what I was looking through before actually. So yes, remember that's IndieGameLaunchPad.io. 15minutegamer has run over totally today, so it's half now. It's only double the length, but we had a guest on, so it's allowed. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description. So there's videos, there's podcasts, maybe even me on there someday. And there's lots to see and do on there. Go and follow him on Twitter as well. It's just IndieLaunchPad.
It's at Indie_Launchpad.
I was close enough. You'll find them on there. So at indie_launchpad, you'll find them on there. Adam, and you'll be able to talk to him. And he always puts loads of things on about what games are coming out and stuff, and what videos are going up, and sharing of that. And if you're a developer, again, drop them over.
Yeah, so you can, even if your game's in development, if it's coming up to kind of a launch, I've got a coming soon section, so you can add it in there, kind of get some hype going. If you've got a Kickstarter or a crowdfunding campaign going, then you can add the links in there as well. You can come back and just keep adding updates to the page so people can see what's going on if you've added some bits. So yeah, it's hopefully there's a bit of something on there for everyone. If you're a developer, it's useful and helpful to you, I hope. And if you're a gamer, then fingers crossed you'll find some great new stuff to play.
Yeah, and if you want to try your hand at writing or doing videos, give him a shout. He's always
on
the lookout. So yeah, that is fantastic. Thank you very much, Ollie. And I hope everyone's enjoyed that. Nice. I don't know how I'm going to fit this into a 15-minute screen. I'm going to have to work that one out. And I will catch you all later. So it's goodbye from me.
Thanks a lot. Bye now.
Bye.